this morning when I was on my way to the office, I was thinking about the Shiloh Hendricks situation, which is essentially a story of a woman who was with her infant child at a park. And I guess there was a little kid who started digging through her stuff, and she basically started to shoo the kid away and call him the N-word with the hard R. Now, this story has obviously taken on a life of its own as far as the race conversation, because the little boy happened to be a black little boy and the woman was a white woman, even though she got a name like Shiloh Hendricks, right? It was a lily white lady. And basically, I think the heat came from the fact that not only was there the incident of her calling this little boy the N-word and continued to repeat it as she was filmed by this PDF file at the park. That's a whole nother story. But it's because she ended up getting basically close to $1 million at this point in fundraising money through Give, Send, Go. Now, when I first spoke of this story on TikTok, I made a comparison between Carmelo Anthony and her as far as, the GoFundMes. And I made a distinction to say, look, though this woman is, dead ass wrong per se, like, come on, why would you say that or, call a kid any other name? I know he's, stealing from you. You shouldn't be doing that. They claim that he might have been autistic, etc. Who knows some of these things? Like, some of these things cannot be confirmed. But let's say he was a little 5-year-old autistic boy. Then I can say, hey, come on, let's have some decency at the very least. But Carmelo is a young man who took another young man's life, right? Stabbed another kid in the heart. There's quite a difference here. And so that's what I wanted to get into when I asked myself this question. Should white people be allowed to just say the N-word? I know you're probably thinking, how the hell does that tie into each other? But you'll get where I'm going with this. So on one side, there was outroar as far as a literal killer having a GoFundMe set up for him, raising $500,000+ as the suspect, right? The victim is basically ignored and the suspect is seen as the victim, etc. Classic black privilege sort of things. The other case is, again, who would, give the chick money, whatever. I wouldn't give her a dime. I mean, you use a word, you use a slur. Okay, cool. Plenty of people do on a daily basis. Just go on X. I mean, nobody's giving them a dime. So I'm not really impressed by that. Right. But I'm also not all the way pissed off about it because she didn't take somebody's life. Like she took that little boy's life. That's a whole different story we're talking about now. Now, justice for this young man. Like, now we're going full blitz with that. But should she go to jail? No. Obviously not. So then when we get to the N-word, I started thinking to myself, you know what? The way I see it is, if you are offended by words and you are provoked to actions, there should not be the same consequences to the word as the action. It's a God honest truth. I don't care whatever words they may be, right? Like if I am called the N-word with a hard R, which I have been called that before, at least the South African version, right? A translation of that. I've been called that before. And I called my big brother on this kid, and my big brother handled business for me at that age. But at this point in my life, if somebody called me that or anything out of my name, I genuinely don't care. 99% of the time, I really don't care. I get called things on a daily basis by people who look just like me and those who don't. I really don't care. And the reason is because I don't believe them. Like, oftentimes when we're triggered by words, it's because we believe in that sentiment, or, that it's triggering at a certain level. So if somebody calls me stupid, I don't care because I don't believe myself to be stupid. But if I did, maybe that's something that was programmed into me. It's an insecurity that I have, and somebody calls me stupid or slow or whatever, then it's going to trigger me, right? I remember back in the day, going to a gym, and one of my gym buddies, he was a big old dude, 6'3". I mean, talking about 260, 270. him versus gorilla type stuff, right? He would have a fair chance. And I was joking with him one time, and I was like, "Man, you're looking tiny." You know, dudes like that joke, like in the gym. Pause. Not some of y'all are going somewhere else with it, but I said, "Man, like, you know, what's going on?" And I had never seen a grown man throw this sort of like childlike tantrum in my life. He caught the crazy. He got super emotional all over the place. I didn't realize that this dude had body dysphoria, or is it dysmorphia? Dysphoria? Dysmorphia is the one when you think you're a dude, but you're a chick, right? Vice versa. Yeah. He had that belief that he was that, and that was the thing he tried to avoid his whole life. That's why he was so adamant about the gym. It was an insecurity for him. So again, with the N-word for me, I mean, I'm going to be God honest truth. I use the word. Not the hard R, as far as, you know what I mean? Not in a serious way like that, but I use the word because I'm not offended by almost all words, because I understand that the words only have as much power as I give those words. That was kind of the point of why the N-word is used at first. Now, I haven't answered the question of should white people be able to use it? So before I get into that conclusive answer, should white people be able to use that word? The craziest thing happened this morning is I'm on X and I see this conversation pop up. Now, this is going to be a different type of video, right? With an individual featured in it who, though I am not the biggest fan of, sometimes his trolling can be funny. I don't believe in most of the stuff that he believes, etc. But I am a First Amendment guy. I am. To the core of me, I believe you should be able to express your stupid ideas, and then I express my stupid ideas, and then the best idea should win. Simple as that. So that being said, I want to get into this video, and just, you know, brace yourself. It's going to be a moment. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm just going to leave it at that. Let's get into it.
And I don't want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, black people can say things to white people all the time, and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want.
Look at. Is she lying though?
Unashamedly, and you will.
Well, go
not
on then.
have
Say
free,
it. Say
you
the
will
M.
not have
Go on.
free
Say.
speech.
Go on. Say the M word. Go on.
No.
Hang
Don't
on.
invite. No.
No.
I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she's.
And then he called himself, okay, just give you context. This is Mark Lamont, and he is a race hustler, right? He's an ashwagandha, Wakanda sort of brother. And you know what? He's an articulate guy, you know, well-read guy, etc. But he is a perpetual, lifelong victim. That's what he does for a living, and he makes quite a substantial amount of money doing that. So I did not know he was about to call himself that. And I didn't know where this was fully going. I just knew the conversation was around should white folk be able to use, you know, the N-word, etc. But yeah, that threw me off a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, that threw me off. And actually, you're not the only on this. Maybe you are, because if you consider yourself as one, then yeah, you can be that. Be anything you want to be. You know, they, them.
Say
You
the
will
M.
not have
Go on.
free
Say.
speech.
Go on. Say the M word. Go on.
No.
Hang
Don't
on.
invite. No.
No.
I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word, because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here. You and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and to ask her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Pierce. I understand what you're trying to do, but we already know she's racist, and I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
Okay, I got to get into this. So y'all see that visceral response this dude is having? He is like emotionally unhinged. He's acting like a 7-year-old. You know what I mean? Like being called a goofy goober or something, like a 4-year-old, 5-year-old being called, you know, like, oh, you smell like butt. That's the sort of reaction he's having. When you get to a place where you follow the words of what's his name? Don Luis Miguel, author of the 4 Agreements, and you take nothing personally, even the things that are personal. You get to a place where you can be there. I'm not saying that you take disrespect or whatever, but I'm not going to lay hands on you because of words. That's what I'm not going to do. Now, if you lay hands on me, I'm going to lay hands on you. And if I say something to you and you end up laying hands on me, that's the consequence of whatever I said. But me personally, this guy, I'm not offended by the words. I'm really not. Oh, but that's because you a sellout. Call me whatever the hell you want, but one thing you can't call me is unhinged. Look at this dude right here. Look at this. No sound on. Look at this. That boy tweaking. That boy is tweaking. Look at that. I'm him right now. I'm Myron. Look at. Damn. Y'all, okay, this is I need to find the full clip. I guess he has one of those he has a sign of either what is it? I think it says that, the N-word with a hard R on it, right? If you are this easily triggered, you will be easily controlled by anybody and everybody around you. And I don't know if Mark is actually that offended. I don't know if he's using this as, his virtue signal because he knows his audience is watching and this is going to be a viral moment. So if he's the one who's really standing up for the black man and the black woman, if he's really that guy, then they're going to be like, oh my gosh, like, yes, that's our, that's our overseer. He keeps us in slavery. He loves that we are enslaved in the mind and we cannot think for ourselves. And we continue to be offended off of things that we, in fact, are actually using amongst one another. If you no longer become offended, it's like, the word cracker, right? Cheese and crackers. I mean, I know some people say, well, that's because that's a word of power and they're the one who was cracking black folks. So, okay, whatever damn word you want to use. Snowflake, this, that, and the third. I've never met a white person in my life who you could tell them a real slur and they would really pop off. You know what I mean? I also grew up in a generation where we told race jokes and things of that nature. So I don't know what happened, the transition point, because it's some of the same kids I grew up with. All of a sudden they came social justice warriors and now they're offended by everything on my own behalf. White liberals offended on my behalf. How dare them say that? I don't give a single damn. I don't. So yeah, let's let this run one more time.
With a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Pierce. I understand what you're trying to do. But we already know she's racist. And I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you.
A racial harm to me. Yeah. So, dipping back into the shallow thing, the reason why that was wrong is because of the context, to be honest with you. It's a context. And she had every right to put up a GoFundMe like anybody else does, right? And the fact that people are willing to donate, well, then look at them peoples. But this is not a question of should this thing be illegal in essence? And should it be something that precedes physical and bodily harm? To me, I say no. Because it's foolish to lose your life and to crash out over a word. If somebody squares up with you and they're ready to, that's something completely different. Hopefully you deal with people with enough emotional maturity to where they don't have to take everything to a physical. But if that be the case, then so be it. But that's different. That's a whole different ballgame we're talking about. What we're talking about are words. And black folk have had the leeway and the leverage to be as racist as possible while claiming not to be racist because black people can't be racist, right? To say the most foul and vile. I mean, how many videos I've done at this point with black folks talking about they want to unalive white people and all white people should be unalived, etc. Right? F these white people this, these white people that. All day long till you blue in the face. It's an entire subgenre of the internet. Just like you have the far right and, whatever it is. You've got an entire subgenre of the internet which is just anti-white racism. Simple. And it's become mainstream and it's allowed for damn near everybody else. These are the facts. Call me what you want. Again, the only word they could use is Tom or sell out because they think that that's going to silence us. We're not as soft as y'all. We're not like y'all. We're not built the same. We don't get offended off of words. We continue to go. Call us what you want to call us. Be as unhinged as you want. You will end up in jail because you have a lack of emotional regulation. You lack emotional maturity, so you have the inability to control yourself and to understand that words are words. Words are words. And if you want to be offended by them, then damn it, be offended by everything. So as far as can they use it, I say if you want to claim a word as your own and other people are using that word, that's going to come with it, especially when you start saying terms of endearment, etc. You got all these fans that are paying you millions of dollars to exist as an artist, and you mad at them saying the N-word when you're saying it in your songs. You want them to repeat after me, but you don't want them saying the word that you repeat 100 times. There's a song with YG and Rich Homie Quan, rest in peace, talking about my. First of all, I'm going to ride with my mup. That's the whole damn song. Every 4 words is the N-word as a term of endearment. So again, if it's somebody saying it from a malicious place, then maybe you're going to square up with them. But that's between you and them. Should they be able to use the word? Frankly, I don't care. Ooh, I don't care. Because it's too much emotional bandwidth for me. I don't need to carry anything with me. If that person is that unhinged and they're that off in the brain or whatever it is, then that's on them. Life must suck as a smooth-brained individual. Life must suck as a smooth-brained racist. If they are a racist, then that's on them. I'm gonna refute their points. I'm gonna argue their points. And if they want to go there, if they want the hands, then then it can be that, right? But if it's not that, the words aren't going to be a trigger for me. And this is something I worked on throughout my youth and my young adulthood, as far as emotional regulation, emotional maturity, to deal with things in the most mature way possible, as opposed to always popping off and being ready to get active just because somebody says something you don't like. The ghetto culture is the one that promotes a mentality where you're ready to fight off of everything. You're ready to take somebody's life off of everything. But the historic context, if we cared enough about the historic context, if black folk who are, so adamant about this, the Mark Lamonts of the world care so much about historic context, then why would you use it against yourself? Why would you use that word as a term of endearment? Why would you do it? Oh, we're reclaiming the word. Okay, so then why are you mad when somebody else says it? There's your term of endearment right back at you. Again, it's a nuanced conversation at a certain level, but there's other aspects, the broader conversation, which is not that nuanced. It's like, if you have a problem with it, fine, have a problem with it, but it's not as bad as actions. I don't know where we got to a place in society where words became worse than the actual actions. Well, he said this, so you took his life? Yeah, because he said this to me. No, he didn't threaten your life. He just called you whatever, right? He called you a word, a slur, and you took his life. And you beat him up physically. Why don't you just say a word back, a slur back? Why don't you just ignore it? Well, because he attacked me. Okay, now that's different. I hope you're catching what I'm throwing. If not, then you probably never will. But I'm really tired of this one. And that's why I don't do, you have the N-word pass. I don't need to give a damn pass because I don't care who uses it or who doesn't. I don't care who uses it. I don't care who doesn't. Because as far as I'm concerned, I got better shit to worry about. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there. Or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3-6-5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.